You should have stayed out of my way.
He grabbed a pregnant cashier and punched her until she bled, thinking she was nothing. But in seconds, he realized he had just attacked the daughter of the most dangerous man in the underworld. Welcome back to Believe Tales. If you've been here before, you know these stories don't just entertain. They haunt you. They stay with you long after the screen goes dark. And if you're new, welcome. This channel is built on one truth. The most powerful stories happen where two worlds collide, where cultures meet, where power crashes into vulnerability, where love finds you in the last place you'd ever expect it. Today's story, it starts with violence. It starts with a man who believed the world owed him everything, and a woman who was simply trying to survive. But by the end, you'll understand why some mistakes can never be taken back, and why some people are worth the price of redemption. Stay with me. The afternoon sun cut through the glass ceiling of the Lumina shopping district like a blade. Kang Min-Jae stepped out of his car, a black Mercedes that cost more than most people's homes, and didn't bother to acknowledge the valet who rushed to park it. His tailored charcoal suit was immaculate. His watch gleamed. Every detail of him screamed power, wealth, and danger. The kind of danger that made people step aside without being asked. He had owned this city for 15 years, and the city had learned to fear him. Inside the mall, heads turned. Whispers followed. Min-Jae didn't notice. Or rather, he noticed, but he didn't care. Attention was his birthright. Fear was his currency. He moved through the luxury department store with the certainty of a man who had never been told no. Not in business, not in love, not ever. At the register, he placed his purchase down. A limited edition watch, worth more than a year's salary for most people. The cashier, a young black woman with dark eyes and a curve to her belly that spoke of pregnancy, smiled politely and began to ring it up. "That'll be 38,000, she said softly. Min-Jae slid his platinum card across the counter. Without looking at her face, the machine beeped, then beeped again. Declined. A flicker of irritation crossed his face. He had never been declined in his life. He pulled out another card. The machine hesitated. Beeped again. Declined. The cashier, Amara, shifted uncomfortably. She had seen this before. Sometimes systems glitched. Sometimes accounts froze. She kept her voice gentle, professional. "It might be a temporary hold, sir. Do you have another?" "I don't have another," he cut in, his voice sharp, like broken glass. "Run it again." She did. The machine beeped. Declined. And that was when something inside Min-Jae cracked. Not because the card didn't work. Not because of the inconvenience. But because a man like him, a man who ruled boardrooms, who silenced rivals with a single word, had just been humiliated. In public. A pregnant cashier had witnessed his failure. Someone might have seen. Someone might have noticed. And his pride, built on fear, on power, on control, could not survive this moment. He leaned forward, his eyes cold. "You're incompetent," he said quietly. "That's the problem." Amara's hand trembled, slightly. "Sir, I'm sure if you just call your bank." "I'm not speaking to you about my bank," he interrupted, his voice dropping to a whisper that felt louder than a shout. "I'm speaking to you about the fact that you don't know how to do the simplest job." She swallowed, said nothing. And in that silence, something snapped. Min-Jae reached across the counter. His hand closed around her shirt, gripping the fabric just below her collarbone. For a moment, time paused. Amara's eyes widened. Her free hand moved instinctively to her stomach, protecting the life inside her. Then, he pulled her forward and drove his fist into her face. The sound was immediate, brutal, final. Her head snapped back. Blood rushed from her nose, hot, dark, spilling onto her white uniform. A gasp echoed through the mall. Sure, collective. The sound of shock. A child started to cry. Amara stumbled backward, one hand flying to her face, the other still wrapped protectively around her belly. She didn't scream. She didn't cry out. She just stood there, bleeding, staring at him. and in her eyes was something he had never seen before. Not fear. Betrayal. And beneath it all, something else. Something dangerous. Min-Jae stepped back, breathing hard, his knuckles already beginning to ache. Around him, the mall had gone silent. Security was moving. Phones were rising. But he didn't feel triumph. He felt something else. Something that tasted like blood, and consequences, and a line that had just been crossed. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her father. He didn't know that the woman he had just struck was the daughter of a man whose name was whispered with terror in every underground room in the city. A man whose power made Min-Jae's empire look small. A man who had spent 20 years building a kingdom on loyalty, on respect, and one absolute rule. Anyone who touched his family would pay with their life. All Min-Jae knew was that he had made a mistake. And in his world, mistakes were never forgiven. They were only avenged.
This kind of mistake can take a person's life.
The police arrived in under 6 minutes. By then, Amara was sitting in the mall's medical office, ice pressed against her swollen face, her white uniform stained with blood that wouldn't fully wash out. A young officer stood across from her, notebook in hand, asking questions she barely heard. "Do you want to press charges?" She didn't answer right away. Her hand moved slowly to her belly, feeling the soft flutter of movement. Her baby, still there, still safe. The thought hit her all at once. Min-Jae's punch had come dangerously close. Too close. Her chest tightened, with something darker than fear. It made her angry. Not just angry, furious, bone-deep furious. "Yes," she said quietly. "I want to press charges." But even as the words left her mouth, she knew something the officer didn't. The man who had hit her, Kang Min-Jae, billionaire, untouchable in every room he entered, had no idea what he had done. He hadn't just committed assault. He had made a mistake, far worse than that. He had touched the daughter of Marcus Okonkwo. Her father didn't know yet, but he would. And when he did, the city would burn. By evening, Amara was home, a small apartment in the quieter part of the city. She tried to hide the bruise, makeup, a scarf. It didn't matter. Her father always saw through her. But she was wrong about one thing. He didn't wait. Marcus Okonkwo arrived before nightfall. He moved like a shadow, tall, broad-shouldered, silent, but heavy with presence. The kind of presence that made people forget to breathe. He wore black, simple, controlled. But his eyes carried everything. Every decision, every life taken, every empire built, on blood and control. When he saw her face, something shifted. Small, almost invisible. But Amara saw it. A tightening, a flicker. Look of a man deciding how many people would die. "Don't," she said quickly, stepping in front of him. "Dad, don't do anything yet." His voice came out quiet, too quiet. "Who?" Not a question, a command. "Kang Min-Jae," she said. "Korean, billionaire, Mafia connected." Silence. Then, recognition. "I know who he is," Marcus said slowly. "Everyone in this city knows who he is." "Then you know he's dangerous," Amara replied, her voice unsteady. "And if you go after him, it won't end quietly. It'll start a war." Marcus stepped closer, slow, controlled. His hand reached up, gentle, scarred, and lifted her chin. He examined the bruise, carefully, precisely. Darkening, swelling. "He did this." "Yes." "In public." "Yes." His hand dropped. When he looked at her again, something deeper was there. Not just rage. Something heavier. "You were supposed to be safe," he said quietly. "That was the point. You stayed away from this life. I built everything so you wouldn't have to live in it. So you would never know what it feels like to have blood on your hands." Amara's eyes filled with tears. I know, Dad. And now, his voice dropped even lower. Some arrogant boy thinks my daughter is someone he can hit. Someone he can humiliate in public. He turned to the window. The city stretched out before him. Lights, power, territory. Somewhere out there, Min-Jae was still living his life. Still celebrating. Still untouchable. Still unaware that everything was about to change. I could kill him, Marcus said calmly. Before sunrise. No questions. No consequences. I know, Amara whispered. But you don't want me to. She hesitated. Then, no. Marcus turned. Why? She struggled for the words. Because what she felt didn't make sense. In that moment, when he hit her, she had seen something. Not just cruelty. Not just power. But something broken. Something human. And somehow, she couldn't ignore it. I want him to face it, she said slowly. I want him to know my name. I want him to understand that I'm not someone he can erase. Not because you're my father, but because I matter. She placed her hand on her belly. Because this baby matters. Her voice steadied, stronger now. Let me handle this, my way. Let me make him see me. Silence filled the room. Marcus studied her, deeply. And in that moment, he made his decision. Not as a king, but as a father. All right, he said. But if he touches you again, if he even looks at you wrong, he dies. No court in this world will stop me. It wasn't a threat. It was a promise. The next morning, Amara walked back into the store. Slowly, deliberately. She didn't hide the bruise. She let them see it. She let them talk. And they did. By noon, everyone knew. By evening, the story reached him. Kang Min-Jae. High above the city, in his penthouse. His security chief delivered the news. Not just the charges, but the truth. Who she was. Who her father was. What he had done. What he had started. Min-Jae sat in silence, looking out at the city lights. And for the first time in 15 years, he felt something unfamiliar. Something he thought he had lost, a long time ago. Fear. Not for himself, but for what he had unleashed. For what was coming. And beneath that fear, something else. Something deeper. Something dangerous. Need to see her again. To understand her. To fix what couldn't be undone. It was the most dangerous feeling of all. 3 days passed before Min-Jae saw her again. Not in person, on the news. A press conference, held outside the police precinct. Amara stood at a microphone, her bruised face visible to thousands. She didn't hide it. She didn't shy away. She spoke clearly about what happened, not with rage, but with a quiet dignity that felt more powerful than anger ever could. His name is Kang Min-Jae, she said, and I'm not pressing charges just for me. I'm doing it because no one should be able to do what he did. And walk away like it never happened. Min-Jae watched from his penthouse. Watching the woman he had struck, stand before the world, and refuse to disappear. Refuse to be forgotten. And he couldn't look away. That night, he made a decision. One that would have seemed impossible, just days before. He called his lawyer. Not for a settlement, not to make it go away, but to arrange a meeting. With her. Amara. She agreed. Even though Marcus tried to stop her. This is a trap, her father said. He's trying to manipulate you. Maybe, Amara replied softly. But I need to hear it from him. Not through lawyers. Not through anyone else. From him. The meeting took place in a quiet restaurant. Neutral ground. A place neither of them controlled. Min-Jae arrived first. And when Amara walked in, he stood. A small gesture. But it meant something. Respect. Acknowledgement. She sat across from him. Silence stretched between them. For a long moment, neither spoke. Close, Min-Jae could see everything. The bruise, fading but still there. The swelling along her jaw. And beneath it all, strength. A strength that made his chest tighten, in a way he didn't understand. "I came here," he said finally, his voice rough, "to tell you I'm sorry. But that word, it's not enough." Amara said nothing. She studied him, carefully. For the first time, really seeing him. "Why did you do it?" she asked. Min-Jae looked away. "Because my card declined. Because my pride couldn't handle it. Because I was raised to believe people like you existed to serve people like me." He paused. "Because I'm a coward who hides cruelty behind money and power." Silence. Heavy. "My father could have you killed," Amara said quietly. "He still can. One word from me, and you disappear." Min-Jae nodded. "I know. I've known, for 3 days. Part of me thinks, I deserve it. But you're here anyway." "Yes." She leaned back slightly. "Why?" He struggled. "Because the truth wasn't simple. Because when I hit you, I thought you were nothing. And when I realized who you were, I was afraid of your father." He paused. "But somewhere between those moments, I became afraid of something else. Myself. Afraid of what it meant. That I could hurt someone and feel nothing." His voice dropped. "Until I saw your face and felt everything." Amara's expression softened, just slightly. "That doesn't undo what you did." "I know. And it doesn't fix what you are." "I know that too." His hands trembled slightly, resting on the table. "But maybe it's the beginning of fixing what I've become." Weeks passed. And somehow, they kept meeting. Not as lovers. Not yet. But as two people, drawn to something they didn't understand. Min-Jae began to change. Not overnight. Not perfectly. But genuinely. He stepped back from his empire. Gave power to someone with more conscience. He sought help. Quietly. And for the first time, he began to understand something. Power, without humanity, was just another prison. And Amara, watching him change, found herself believing in something she never had before. Redemption. But in their world, redemption always came with a price. Marcus knew. He watched his daughter grow closer to the man who had hurt her. He said nothing. But something in his eyes changed. The promise he made didn't disappear. It waited. The night Amara told Min-Jae she loved him, they stood on his balcony. The city stretched beneath them. Lights, power, distance. "Your father will kill me someday," Min-Jae said quietly. "Probably," Amara replied. "But not today. And maybe not tomorrow. And in the time we have, we choose something different." Min-Jae reached for her hand. "I don't deserve this. I don't deserve you." "No," she said softly. "You don't. But you're trying. And that matters." She placed her free hand on her belly. The baby would come soon. A new life. Born between two worlds. Between power and survival. Between violence and redemption. "This baby," she whispered, "is going to change everything." Min-Jae looked down. And for the first time in years, he felt something unfamiliar. Hope. But in the shadows, Marcus watched. Waiting. Watching. To see who Min-Jae would become. Because in their world, love wasn't enough. Change had to be proven. And redemption always came at a cost. A cost paid in blood. Sometimes, the most dangerous love story isn't the one that starts with passion. It's the one that starts with breaking and chooses to heal. Min-Jae and Amara didn't fall in love like a fairy tale. They fell in love slowly, painfully, knowing it could destroy them. But maybe that's what real love is. Not perfect, not safe, but honest, willing to change, willing to fight, when it would be easier to walk away. If this story reminded you of someone, send it to them. Because sometimes people need to know that change is possible, that redemption exists, and that even the darkest moments don't have to define us forever. The weight of this story, it stays with you, doesn't it? Because it's not just about power. It's about choice, about love, and what we do with it. If you felt something listening to this, I want to hear from you. Do you believe people can truly change? Or is redemption just an illusion? Drop your thoughts below. And if you want more stories like this, stay with me. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We explore what it means to be human. Thank you for staying till the end. I'll see you in the next one.
Oh wow, this story is really top notch, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode. Please keep in touch and thank you so much.